Good day, students. Today we are going to start a new lesson in science, that is, the structures and functions of a cell. Okay, students, you know that all living organisms share some common characteristics as they need food, air, water, and they grow, have a lifespan, and are capable of reproduction. So, these are some of the common characters among the living organisms. In this lesson, we are going to learn about the thing that is responsible for all these characters. That is the cell. Okay. Did you know about Robert Hooke? Who is Robert Hooke? We know that Robert Hooke was the person who initially discovered the cell. How did he discover the cell? So, while he was in his laboratory, he accidentally observed the slices of cork under a microscope in which he saw the tiny box like structures. Robert Hooke called these tiny structures as cells. Later, it was proved that all plants and animals were made up of cells. You have learnt about the cell in your lower classes itself. Here, you are going to learn them in detail. Okay, students, did you think all the cells are similar to each other? No. Cells are of different shapes and size. A best example is amoeba. Okay, students, tell me whether amoeba is a single-celled or multi-celled? Amoeba is a single-celled animal and it keeps on changing its shape. Okay, can you say any other example? Another example is WBC, that is white blood cell, which is a component of blood, can also change their shape. As a single-celled amoeba and WBC can change their shape, on the other hand, some cells have a definite shape. For example, the RBC, that is red blood cells, muscle cells, nerve cells, God cells, etc. The red blood cells are rounded, the muscle cells are spindle shaped, the nerve cells are branched. And what do you mean by God cells? God cells is nothing but the pair of curved cells that surround the stoma. So, these God cells that surround the stoma in a leaf is a kidney shaped. And these shapes of the cells are related to the functions they perform. Like the shape, the size of the cells also varies. For example, the size of the bacterial cell may vary from 0.1 micron to 170 mm. At the same time, the egg cell of an ostrich may vary from 130 mm. Can I be clear that the size of the cell has no relation with the size of the organism? For example, the cell size of an elephant need not be bigger than those in a rabbit. So, now we are clear that cells are of different shapes and size. Next, we see how the cell is considered as the structural and functional units of life. We know that the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life, which means every living organism is made up of one or more cells. If the organism is made up of a single cell means those organisms are called as the unicellular organisms. And the remaining organisms begin their life as a single cell, gets fertilized and gets multiplied into many cells to form a new organism. Such organisms are called as multicellular organisms. The organisms such as amoeba, paramecium, euglena are made up of single cell and are called as unicellular organisms. And the other living organisms such as we the human beings, plants are examples of multicellular organisms. Okay. Then how the cells are considered as the functional units of life? Can you say how the food gets digested in our body? So, we know that with the help of enzymes, the digestion takes place. and these enzymes are produced by the cells of the digestive glands. Likewise, the gases such as oxygen, carbon dioxide gets attached to the blood cells and gets transported to all the parts of the body. This is why the cell is considered as the structural and functional unit of life. The cell is the living unit of the body, and the science that deals with the structure and functions of the cell is called cell biology. Okay students, next we discussed about the observation of cells. We know that microorganisms and the cells cannot be seen through our naked eye. So, for observing the cells of plants and animals, we need a microscope and special techniques are also used to observe them. For example, if we want to observe the outermost layer of a leaf means, we have to peel off a small section from the leaf. And at the same time, for observing the inner cells of leaves, stem or root, a very thin sections are taken. These thin sections of stem or root can be taken using a sharp blade. Okay students, can you see why we are taking a thin section? Only thin sections are needed because the light cannot pass through thick material, and so a thin section can be observed under a microscope instead of a thick section. Next, we see how to stain the cells and how the stains are used in observing the cells. Stains or dyes. Cells are transparent and colorless. As the cells are transparent and colorless, it is difficult to observe the cells under a microscope. That is why the stains are used in observing the cells. Stains is nothing but colors. So, staining the cells, that is, coloring of cells with different colors will be easy for observing the cells and their fine structures. Some of the common stains are safranin, eosin and methylene blue. These stains react with specific parts of the cells and make them clearly visible under a microscope. As we have learnt earlier, for observing the cells, we should take thin sections using a sharp blade. Sections are nothing but they are the thin slices. After taking thin sections, it should be stained. After staining, the stained section is placed on a glass slide and a drop of water is put on it. See this? This is the glass slide and this is the cover slip. So, after staining, the stained section is placed on a glass slide and a drop of water is put on it. After this, a cover slip is placed on the section and the slide is ready for observation. As we observe these stained cells under a microscope, we can observe the cell structure like this. The cells will observe the particular stain and it will be easy for us to observe the fine structure of the cell. Okay students, today we have discussed about the shape and size of cells, unicellular and multicellular organisms, as the cells as structural and functional unit, observation of cells and the staining of cells. We will see the remaining portions in the next class. Thank you students.